I played yesterday up against Dale. But as you can see, Dale's accolades here, who I played against yesterday, top 8 in Disney Lorcana Challenge Chicago. That means Golden Mickey and 3 top 32s. So the first 4 challenges they played in, they top cutted everyone, which is mental. So here are my accolades. Yeah. Okay.
And
so yeah, I'm playing Amethyst Steel
everywhere, kind of,
and
or at
Emerald
least on
Steel.
Specie's side. Dale's is a little more traditional. I think 3 new cards in his list, 2 Plutos and a Go-Go. Really hard to fit new cards into this list, though.
There's 1 copy of Doc, which Vonderland kind of inspired. There's 2 Plutos. There's 2 Tinkerbells. 1 Go-Go Tamago. Only 3 Coves. Only like 3 Brunos, 3 Hypnotized. So like cutting one-offs to fit in some other things. Pluto is definitely a very, very good card. It's a 5/5 with Bodyguard when it has no damage. Go-Go Tamago has that potential of gaining you a whole bunch of lore at once. It's a very, very strong card. But Moyen was unable to play the first round, and whoever filled in for Moyen had to play his deck. And he decided to let me play a deck which I'm comfortable with, and it's a deck which he also believed in. It's basically based off my deck in Seattle, which I spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours trying to optimize. Unfortunately, in Seattle, it wasn't quite good enough, but it got so much juice. And Moyen and I built the deck together. And overall, yeah, I'm really happy with it. It's a very cheap deck as well. It's like $130. So it is Moyen's list, but it's my baby, if that makes sense, right? Because it's based on my deck in Seattle. But my deck in Seattle was built by me, but very much with the help of Moyen, because Moyen was my testing partner. So lots of things that ended up getting added into the deck in the days of testing, things like Queen's Castle got added in Seattle. This was very much based off like me and Moyen testing together. So yeah. So I actually won the die roll, which always helps. Yeah, so Vonderland here on the right won Seattle as well. So
it's a good way to start off.
Very good player. So I ink White Rose to start things off.
Look forward.
And in comes the 1 drop of dreams. It's Lilo. I mean, Maleficent.
Here, look.
So Pete gets inked,
nice.
and down comes Hidden Cove on 1. Now, this is a really interesting play. I obviously can't see Dale's hand, but
so this is kind of spicy.
It's a weird line.
Just showing mad respect to Fire the Cannons.
Yeah.
Because now Dale gets to go Diablo.
It's open deck list, by the way.
Cove.
We know what each other's
playing.
playing.
You don't have an
before
answer.
The game.
You don't have pressure to get this out.
Every card.
Next turn, shift Diablo, sing removal, try to, and then like maybe play a 2-drop and move that to Cove. Like
yeah, I really like this play by Dale.
Representing next turn is shift.
It's super high level stuff, mate. Honestly.
Tinkerbell. Although
so I go for the Magic Broom for 1.
Stop a morph from being cannoned.
I ink a goat, and in comes another broom. Specie special. It's a Shin Miri line, kind of.
Yeah, maybe he needs.
This is what I just look to do all the time. Now, this is what's interesting is I think Dale probably could have gone 1-drop Diablo on turn 1, but they were anticipating it just gets befuddled back or it gets Fire the Cannons back. So instead they go for the Hidden Cove on 1, and that's like the kind of line I think you would only do on an open deck list format, not necessarily on a closed deck list format. Right? But he knows what I'm playing exactly. He knows I have 4 Fire the Cannons. He knows I have 2 befuddles. And so that makes it really awkward. But in comes the 1-cost Diablo and gets to see my hand. Pete, goat, Fire the Cannons.
He sees the cannon, rewarded.
Right, so now the game really starts, right? This is where, so far, I've not really had any decisions to make apart from what I ink. My hand was Pete, Fire the Cannons, goat. Pete is the only Pete I play, so I'm not really going to be wanting to ink that if I can at all help it, right? That's very much not a card I want to ink.
I'm assuming Specie's just doing some quests.
I quest. Now, what's interesting is...
Do you turn in to draw here?
Is there ever a world I challenge the Cove?
I think you just quest, because...
That's what I did.
If Diablo is going to be challenging, it's just going to take out the Maleficent normally. This Pete is going to do a good job of not letting the Diablo
inks me, which I just drew, and in comes Pete.
Jumps in to brawl.
It's just a bit...
Then
it's a bit early for this, but the logic is that they shift Diablo, they can sing something, right? But what I could have done instead is I could have gone like Smee, Fire the Cannons this turn to damage the Diablo. Does that really do anything? Well, then if I take the Cove out, the Diablo's gone, right? Get used to this Cove.
The matchup is definitely not favored
sticking around
for the Amethyst Steel beatdown, but it's not unwinnable.
I think it's actually favored now.
And game
it wasn't favored last set, but it is probably favored.
And Dale even has the Diablo.
The deck got so much. The deck is just so much better.
Ooh, Ursula 3.
But it's definitely not like it's pretty even. It's not. I would say I'm favored. It's like 65, 60%. Haven't practiced it that much, but
ready to eat something.
It felt pretty good in testing. So Diablo now challenges the Maleficent, and it's in the Cove.
Which is maybe okay. It's unfortunate, but it gets it out of their hand.
I think I might have made a mistake here.
What Dale's
I think
really
I get something wrong this turn.
Doesn't...
Despite having a very good start, I'm in an awkward spot. What I do like I've done here is I quested the brooms. I'm always questing with brooms, and then I have a decision to make on what I do, and I think I make a misplay here. I think this is... I'm watching it back for the first time, and I felt like something went wrong around this time in the game, and I think this is the turn. Something goes wrong. I quest with Pete, and I think that's a mistake. I really do. I think the Pete's supposed to challenge the Diablo here. This Diablo can take out a broom and stick around, right? I'm kind of forgetting almost that it's in the Cove. I feel like when this Diablo challenges my broom next turn, I'm like, oh, that Diablo's still there? What? You know what I mean? So I think this might have been a misplay.
If you quest every turn with your characters and they have one,
I don't know where this part of my headphones
they answer
went.
that,
It's
and
so
they answer your next one, and they answer your next one, and you take one turn off. You'll make up what you missed on that quest plus some.
So the Ursula takes a challenge here on Pete, right? And then a magic broom gets taken out, and suddenly, even though my opponent low rolled, I think, and missed the song, look at the board state. It doesn't look good, does it? So I think Pete was really supposed to take out that Diablo. That was a huge error. Huge error from myself, actually. I didn't respect the Hidden Cove enough. Like, this Hidden Cove has not had a Shift Diablo in it, but it's still putting in so much work. If this Hidden Cove gets removed right now, it's done. So to be fair, a fox, like a crab, I'm winning, right? I can take out the Cove and both the Ursula and Diablo
terribly. Go. I mean, that is a lot of lore.
Genie, Doc, these are all the cards which are just going to put in a lot of work, but White Rose isn't really what I'm looking
scary. Going to 13, quasi 14.
It's not bad. So now I'm just deciding on whether I take the broom draw or not. Funny guys, this is me playing my game last night. So I do decide to draw. I think I have Fire the Cannons and a card in hand. But again, this one cost Diablo, mate. It should have been taken out by Pete a whole turn ago.
Yeah, it's quite the tank. It's just like...
And I'd still have two brooms more on the board, basically, right? Something like this.
Chose to draw a card. Didn't make his next choice any easier.
And then I'm also considering with the goat if I ever challenge the Hidden Cove, but I decide not to.
He did the math. He did the math and was like, you know what? I'm going to quest and I'm going to win. That's what I think he's doing.
I didn't
he's
do
at
maths,
least not afraid.
I didn't do maths. I just figured if I challenge, I lose. I didn't do maths. Maths, Wonderland. You overestimate me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have two in hand. I think one is... I feel like one card is Fire the Cannons, but maybe not. When did they play Pete? Maybe they just played Pete the previous turn, which stopped me doing it. So it's Fire the Cannons, Elsa. So this Pete and then the Ursula just completely shutting down my Fire the Cannons, and suddenly it's a complete disaster, mate. Isn't it? Like, Pete can move to the Cove.
Just finally caught up.
Pete can move to the Cove.
And they're finally able to watch now. They're like, ooh, it's clean, it's nice. What is that? That's a Pluto. That's a Pluto. He's like just slowly moving his hand to pretend that it's lagging.
But now the goat gets taken out by Pete. Pete's in the... Is Pete in the Cove? Or did it get taken out? I think Dale said at this point to me that he misplayed, and I'm not sure exactly what it was. But now I'm at top deck mode. I'm only at 14. He has the whole board. That Cove's still on the board. And then I
really
find the castle at the wrong moment. This is such a bad top deck. And it's all gone wrong. So it went wrong. And I think the key moment was that Pete. I think I have to say I got a little bit unlucky that I never found Doc. I never found Genie. I literally didn't find a card which says draw. So moving ahead a couple turns, I quest with the White Rose. They're going to take out my castle. Obviously, with this Cove, it's very easy. So they take out my castle.
Spessy just needs to hope anything he plays lives.
I played Chernobog's Followers off the top.
And see, this is what I was saying. I was pretty sure that he had the Diablo, but since he discarded the cannon, it didn't really say that. So it's hard to say. But this game feels over. But there's a crazy world that it's like draw into...
There's up to 5.
Into goat. Of sorts, like the Doc deck has,
but the Chernobog sticking is really big for me. This gives me a real chance.
Draw Doc and an Inkable,
because I can obviously draw with the Chernobog, gain a lore.
Play another character.
And if they could have removed it, they would have. So they clearly are not able to remove it at this moment in time. I think they have one card in hand. And a goat off the top. Hello. And have a really interesting decision here.
I think this is missequencing. Possibly. Or Specie just passes. But, like, I feel like you have to draw the card with the followers before passing the turn. But you don't want to leave a card in hand. There's a discard, right?
There's a world that I just leave the Chernobog's followers here on the board.
If Specie just passes the
that
turn,
was my original decision.
Or just quests and doesn't sack it.
My original plan was to just leave it.
Like, hasn't drawn.
And I think it was probably correct to just leave it.
Hasn't drawn a single piece of removal.
In hindsight.
And at this point, if you're Specie, you have to just be like, fine. If he draws removal,
I think like while Wonderland's point on I should draw first.
Then, like, we have a chance.
Obviously, like, you're supposed to draw first before you do it, but like I'm always playing the goat here anyway, right? Let's be honest. Like, there's literally no card I draw there where I don't play. I guess there is. It's Genie.
Specie so might have slammed that goat a little too fast.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
It's hard to say. It's unlikely that any other card in Specie's deck really gets played here over the goat.
Yeah, exactly.
Even a Doc at this point, I might have.
Maybe Genie though, right?
Goat.
Maybe Genie does, to be fair.
I mean, there's a world I ink the goat and play the Doc and hope to draw more, but the goat's like 3-ish lore.
I wanted to leave the. I think what I was supposed to do is perhaps leave the Chernobog's followers down on the board.
Play removal.
But he finds removal, I believe. I think he top decks removal. I think I was fine otherwise. I think I was still going to win. Because if I leave the Chernobog's followers down on the board, he would have taken it out with the Ursula. So in this situation, it was correct to draw off of it.
Specie's just like, draw another goat, please. Please draw another goat.
Maybe it was just best to hope that he didn't have the removal. Because then basically the Chernobog's quests, the card can't get discarded, right? If they have a discard card in hand right now, that draw off the Chernobog's just gets cancelled out. But now Muses is down as well.
He has one less. Oh, I'm just moving it. Never mind.
Maleficent off the top. Could be worse.
Represents lethal, but what else are we doing? Doc.
I have another Maleficent in hand. I'm just like deciding if I ever play the other one. And
I understand why he was thinking.
Because of all the questing.
It's weird. It's like, I actually don't think I would. No, you had to because of even then, anything that answers one answers both because of Muses. Yeah, it's like any removal answers both, and even like a sudden chill.
Thing is if I don't play the Maleficent, he just quests to win, right? He has lethal basically.
So you kind of have to only play one.
That was my maths.
I guess at that point you're playing around. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like the Muses is just like game over if he has a song.
So yep, I think looking back, like the misplay was the Pete not challenging Diablo.
I don't know if there's an out at this point.
I think the rest I played fine.
Because
I think I got a little unlucky. I mean, after the game, Dale kind of said to me like he felt like he got a bit lucky, but I think he played it well. But this Hidden Cove was played on turn 1.
So Gather's not even on the table, even though I don't think it's on the list.
Yep, that's game.
All right.
Awful start, mate. I'm going first. I won the die roll and I lost.
Dale. That was a pretty good comeback.
Heartbreak. So I get to go first again. I won the die roll, so I'm definitely favoured for that reason. I got very lucky to win the die roll.
But
game 2, I kept my whole hand, and my opponent mulliganed 7.
You're more likely to keep, say, a Smee.
So I ink Smee.
Or just curve in general.
And there we go. So Maleficent again. He's back. It's back. She's back.
Ursula 3 doesn't get checked, like we saw last game. She just runs away.
Tournament game's starting about an hour, by the way.
That's half the power of this Diablo
from this
deck.
time.
It's like, yeah, Diablo is busted in half. It's very good. It's one of the best cards printed, right? But the rest of the deck is so good that like it doesn't need the Diablo. I won my finals of Seattle and I didn't have the Shift Diablo combo.
But you can see my hand after the Diablo and what a hand it is. You can see why I kept it. Like that's such a good time to pause, right? So I inked Smee. So you can see my whole opening hand here that I kept. My hand was Smee, Fox, Maleficent, Fire Cannon, Genie, Befuddle. And I think this is like a hand that sometimes you might be a little bit greedy and just take a mulligan because you're like, oh, well, it could be better, but like it can't really, can it? Like, I'm going to ink the Befuddle. I'm probably going to ink the Smee and the Fox. If I draw into more uninkables, I have things to ink. Like, what would I ever want to cut there? I keep the one Genie, I keep the one Fire the Cannons, I keep the one Maleficent. If I mulligan, I have 2 Maleficents. It's like the God Hand, right? I have Maleficent, Maleficent, Fire the Cannons as my first 3 turns. Like, that's what I'm looking for every day of the week. Yeah, there was some technical issues with the stream yesterday, so hopefully it's going to be better today. But Pavel set up a new platform to spectate through Pixelborn Connect. There was like a bunch of streamers trying to connect in different languages, and I think it caused Dale's internet some issues. I think that's what ended up happening. So it is what it is.
If it needs to.
Some teething issues.
It just happens to be that Diablo's the cheapest of the threats. So
yeah, I have basically God Hand.
Down, so when you don't answer it and you answer.
So Dale obviously takes his time, and then sure enough, I go Maleficent.
Which is dangerous.
Again, this is the like you've heard of the Shin Miri line where it's like Lilo, Lilo, Lilo.
If he has the cannons,
this is
like you say he
the
does,
ultimate Shin Miri line, right? Where it's Lilo, Lilo, fire the cannons.
I trusted you that he had it, but
what a start! How can I lose from here? Realistically,
he's got it. He's got it.
I just don't think I can lose from here.
But this is
also my opponent mulligan 7. I kept my whole hand right. Like this is just God opening. This is there's no better opening in Disney Lorcana apart from Shift. I keep standing on my phone. There's no better opening in Disney Lorcana apart from Shift Diablo, Sing a Song, Hidden Cove, right? I just don't think there's anything better. So Bruno into the ink. In comes a dock, no trigger. Not ideal for poor old Dale. Who, I have to say, I don't think drew that well in game 1 either. I think he just played it very well.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel good, but at the same time, I'm loving a 1-3 right now.
Bam, bam. And suddenly I'm at 6 lore already. Yeah, that's true. You are loving a 1-3. Befuddle! He loves it. Yes, Wonderland.
I mean, that's unfortunate, but whoo-wee.
Yeah. Hello.
One cost answer.
And this is what the deck does.
Threat.
That's the idea of the deck. GG. It's over.
Yes. Big fan. The only thing that disappoints me about this list is that there's only 3 docks.
Agreed. Yeah, I
Just
agree.
cut one of those castles.
No,
put a dock in. Castle's overrated, sadly.
Nah.
I think the last game
underrated,
did an
actually.
excellent job of showing why Castle is overrated.
2 castles could be fine.
If you are behind at all, it is absolutely garbage. You
Castle
have to be
is,
winning
I think, a necessary evil probs.
At parity, but that parity
thing with
also
Castle
has to be
is Castle's just good
on
into
board.
everything.
Like you just can't play it if there's 3 characters.
It is one of the
on
most
side of
cuttable
the board,
cards.
and that's not what you want.
But
because you're
it's
not
good against
answering
Ruby
their
Sapphire.
characters.
It's
You're
pretty good
deploying
against
threats.
Emerald Steel.
If they answer them,
I think in the last
then,
game,
at least
it was
your
just
other threats
I found it
have
at the
a
wrong
turn
moment,
to
and that can
survive
definitely
and
happen, right?
exert
I do
game
definitely
more.
agree with the 4 docks
Castle doesn't
though.
really do that.
Like 4 docks, not playing 4 docks, I think was the one mistake we made.
Over Castle, personally.
And yeah, I was also playing Library. We spoke about it in this interview after. I was playing Library
the way I play Library
instead of Castle,
but
then I cut Library for Castle, and it was night and day difference.
To guarantee
suddenly, games that I was like getting to 18, 19, I was winning. Like Castle just made the difference.
Oh boy, that's lethal.
That's a pretty good deck, huh? Look at that. It's turn 4, mate.
Can she do it?
Yeah, Ursula the
Can
Deceiver
she
versus
do
Lord.
it?
But yeah, we're chilling here. Obviously, Ursula the Deceiver of all can put in some serious work,
So
but I think I've just got enough of a lead here that it's fine.
Like we need to sing Double Storm and then bounce.
So Muses comes through. Now that's getting quite scary, right?
I think you have to bounce both Maleficents.
And I didn't even know about this.
You don't want to give him
I had to judge call
the genie, but
I had to judge call this, mate. I've never seen this before. I never play Emerald Steel anymore, but I'm glad I know this for when I'm casting now. I've no cards in hand. The Muses, no. So the Sudden Chill discards my last card, which is the White Rose. Then the Muses trigger comes in, picking up my Maleficent, and then the second Ursula song comes through. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because if he draws an ink, oh no, you bounce the genie.
I want to listen to what Wonderland's saying, to be honest.
Then he has
So
to
I'm
discard
going to try and skim through it a bit, but I won't play it at time
bounce
2
a
speed because I'm actually very interested
So
in
you do bounce the genie first.
what they've got to say. I'd love to hear Teddy as well.
I forgot
What
how the
it
bag
is.
works for a second.
Yeah, I forgot. I had to judge call.
And then the second
I called a
copy,
judge.
Sudden Chill goes
He's
off.
cheating. I didn't say cheating. I was like, whoa, can you do that? Huh? I've never seen it before. I mean, that is just an absolute filthy play, though, isn't it?
That's me, anyways. But you'd want to target the.
So
You'd want to
the
target
Maleficent's back in my hand.
because there's a terrible world.
Oh no, the genie got
lets me
so the genie got
quest twice
discarded.
more and then dies or
So the genie got Yeah. Where did the genie go?
This is looking very scary and rough.
I forgot where the genie went.
Our North American hero.
Yeah,
Dale.
Doc comes through. Hello.
Is that a Doc? That's a Doc.
That's what we're looking for. I didn't find any of them in
Team
game 1.
EU at the moment. I'm not gonna lie. That Doc just made me change. We're on the other side of the world now, boys.
Doc is such a good card, mate. What a guy. I love a bit of Doc action. I really, really do. Doc was the reason I played this deck, to be honest. In Seattle. I mean, it was Fire the Cannons Befuddle, but it was also Doc. When I realized I could befuddle my own Doc, that's when I realized I had to play the deck. It's a lot better now than it was in Seattle, though. It was like okay in Seattle. If I played perfectly, I could have won the tournament. I did not play perfectly.
It's looking
I needed
scary,
to get a high seed in day 1 to have any chance.
And
my deck was just not good enough going second.
That was ultimately the problem.
And it still struggles going second, but it's just got a lot more staying power now. Gantu, Elsa, Genie, top end is a lot better than what I had previously. Elsa was one of the cards that was close to making the cut in the previous, in the version for Seattle, but it didn't really feel like it belonged. It was a bit too slow.
That's the only way you lose.
But it's good enough now. So now I know I do everything I'm always doing, which is Quest with the Maleficent. I've played the Doc and the Maleficent this turn. I have 2 cards in hand. So I'm considering, do I ink, do I play, and what do I do with the Smee? And I end up deciding to challenge the Ursula here, which was definitely a key moment. This is me playing Twister. This was my game last night.
Well, another sudden chill or something to just bounce that up, the fresh Maleficent. I'd rather have a storm. But yeah.
Bam! I take it out.
Yeah. But we know he doesn't have that.
Yeah, I decided to take it out because I basically just kind of think ahead of time and realize what's what.
It's a rough play. It's really rough when you don't go to 16. But, yeah. Like, all the ways that I can think of that Dale comes back involve her double singing.
Yeah, exactly. But I end up winning 20-0. This game's over.
We don't want to do Lotus.
We'll fast forward. They go Diablo, Doc.
It's not... I guess the song bounces and removes. So it's still okay.
It is Streamception, yeah. It's me watching... I was streaming my game, which they were watching, which I'm now watching them watch my game. Pog. What we need now is we need Vonderland to watch my reaction to his reaction to my game.
15, and then Diablo and Doc can take out that if there's not a Fire the Cannons chilling in hand.
But that was I mean, I say I win 20-0. I might have just, jumped the gun a bit because that was a pretty good turn, wasn't it? But the thing is, Dale's like short on cards in hand. It's only 2. Doc takes a quest. I'm up to 15. Oh, hello, Lorcana Villain. Lorcana Villain's going to be joining us in a little bit here, guys, which is going to be exciting. Lorcana Villain in the building. Any mods in the chat?
Did Dale somehow stabilize? 3 cards in hand. We know one's a Maleficent.
Pete! Stinky Pete! My 1 Pete I play.
That's a good way to gain some more lore. That's a great way to get this Maleficent to gain you lore. That puts us at 18.
The Stinky Pete, mate. I didn't want this Pete in my deck, but Moyam was like, let me play this 1 Pete. I'm Moyam, I'm so good at the game. Yeah, turns out he knows what he's talking about.
Because of the Pete.
Pete overperformed, but I also drew it twice.
I think so. Yeah, you gotta. You can't. Drawing a card is worth less than that 1 lore right now by far. It's like, yeah, answer my Diablo. I don't care. Like, you can't race. You just have to get rid of every lore you can. I mean, this is terrifying. Like, if this was like the World Poker Series, and
so I'm going to be joined by Baker
bars,
for
it would be like 95%
It's going to be a banger.
Favor right now. Like, maybe
Stinky
it would be
Pete
definitely above
off.
90. But Dale has like the cards over.
I found the goat.
I
I think when I found the goat, I did a goat noise to Dale as well. I went like, brr.
Oh, that
20-0.
and I haven't seen it happen yet. But
And it all comes down to this. I'm 1-1. Speaking of mulliganing 7, this game, I mulligan 7
you're gonna have it
in game 3. So basically, I missed Fire the Cannons in my opening hand. I had some 1-drops. But I play like 20 1-drops, I think, in terms of characters. 16 1-drops in terms of characters, which is like the Maleficents, the Diablos, the Chernobyls, the Brooms. That's
Enchanted
16.
Morph.
I have 4.
Diablo.
Look at my hand. I literally said the game's over. I mulligan 7 and I draw this.
Gone 2. Gone 2.
This is the worst hand of all time. You couldn't really ask for a worse hand.
Imagine he shifts the Diablo and Speci top decks the combo.
So annoying, mate. I
Like
mulligan
he
7 and
shifts
I
it to
draw
play
this.
around the
I
befuddle.
play 16 1-drop characters. I don't draw 1. I did mulligan like 3 away, to be fair. But I just decided it wasn't even worth
he
keeping
didn't.
1. I just need to fire the cannons, mate.
He's like, befuddle me, I don't care, bro.
The other thing is, if
he like inks the Diablo and plays a morph, and then shifts out like a
if he has
beast.
Diablo Shift Cove, I kind of lose most of the time anyway, even with Fire the Cannons. But I really need the Fire the Cannons. Like even 2 Fire the Cannons can be nice. But it turned into a real stinker. Like it is a nightmare. It's very heartbreaking. Befuddle the Diablo. Sad. I was like, well, I went full. The thing is, I actually spoke to Moy in specific about this line beforehand. I was like, right, if I miss Fire the Cannons, and I'm going second, do I just mulligan 7? Am I supposed to keep like 2 1-drops, keep 1 1-drop?
No baboons.
And the decision was maybe if it's, well, my thought was if it's a 1-drop Maleficent, I maybe keep 1 Maleficent.
4 Fire the Cannons
And mulligan
and
6.
2 baboons
If it's
and
anything
2
else, just full
smashes
send, find the Fire the
in
Cannons.
my list.
Unfortunately,
Ursula 3 is
I've mulligan
terrible.
7 and didn't find
and you
anything.
need an answer to Diablo on Cove.
So Befuddle on Diablo on turn 1 is not what you want to be doing. But at least the Diablo shift can't come through. At least it's something. In comes the Diablo again. The new card I draw is Doc.
Another cast.
I'm actually going to take the idea of 2 times speed for a moment. That's a good
Oh, they
idea.
were? Oh, I thought you only had 1. That's not too bad. There's only 1 inkable in its hand. Or 3 inkables. I guess, never mind. I got really scared for a second. For Speci, I was just like, only 1 inkable, no.
So note that I have double castle goat in hand as my ink. In comes the Cove.
So
There's
about
a
inking
1-drop
first time,
Diablo and there's a
inking
Cove.
Castle. Probably
It's not
playing
good
Calhoun,
news.
Lets us double tap.
I ink goat over
the
castle.
Cove,
I have 2
and
castles, but I ink the goat.
technically does not get. I can't really think of an out unless Dale.
Which is definitely a
like
controversial decision.
one
But
drop
I just know that there's a
another
world
baby
where these
Diablo
castles win me the
shift,
game.
sing,
I know I'm in a
storm,
bad spot. The
or
goat's not
rage,
doing
but that's
enough.
not
I
great.
need
That's a
like
lot
some kind of
resources used.
real cheese value, I think, to win this
Like,
game.
you'd-
With how bad my start's been, like the goat is just not what I need.
Well,
right?
he'd have to play a
Like
1-drop
1 or
and a
2 lore is
2-drop
great, but
so
I
you
need
have
like
3
full
characters
cheese
total.
value. I need like
But, like,
real
You
unfair
don't
stuff.
wanna be playing another
And
baby
I figured the
Diablo. That's
castles, like there's a
basically
world
discarding a
where
card at this point.
I can clear the Cove from the board, and I
But
can
is
get like
Diablo
castle
drawing
down and then
cards every
another
turn? Is
castle the turn
Diablo
afterwards, for
drawing cards
example,
every
right?
turn?
Emerald Steel can definitely struggle to deal with the Queen's castles at
Looks
times.
like my camera's
So I think that was a
frozen.
really good decision by me to ink the goat instead of the second castle. I don't know if it
Good
ends
thing
up
I wasn't
mattering,
trying
to be
pick my
honest,
nose,
but
that would've been awkward.
I know that Vonderland actually asked me about that. Or Teddy, perhaps it might have been, asked me about that. Big shout out to Teddy, who's cast into the left. He's muted on the VOD, unfortunately, but big shout out to him. Oh my goodness, Vonderland, you've disappeared. Where are you gone, mate? Vonderland. Vonderland. Where are you? He's... back! It didn't work.
Yep.
It didn't work. So Diablo's been shifted. There's a hustle on the board. There's a hidden cove. It's all enchanted. Uh-oh, it's all gone a bit pear-shaped, doesn't it? It's all gone a little bit pear-shaped, mate. At least I have my Calhoun with resist. Because that is making it difficult for Ursula or Diablo to sing like Let the Storm Rage on to
Cove's
polish it
just
off.
chilling.
So I ink White Rose. I still have those 2 castles in hand, uninked. Bam! Crab. This is a big moment.
Oh, we're taking down that Cove. Cove did nothing.
Taking out the Cove is a big deal. Really, really big deal.
Saved the lore.
Because if I was to find, if I top deck Queen's Castle, fire the cannons next turn. If I find the Elsa, for example, on 5, I can actually deal with this
Calhoun
Diablo.
should
Right?
gain lore when it banishes locations as well.
So the Crab Calhoun, 2 cards which Mr. Moyen wanted in the deck and I didn't particularly want. Doing the business. These are 2 cards I definitely would not have been playing if I was just submitting the list on my own. Maybe the Calhoun I could have played like a copy of. He mentioned the Crab. I think like once he mentioned the Crabs, I was like, yeah, okay, I can see it, sure. These are the kind of card, like Crabs are the kind of card I tend to underestimate
Luckily,
a lot.
I'm sure he's
I just like questing, but sometimes you do have to take some challenges, right? Crab's got some nice synergy with the 1-cost Diablo as well.
So
3 strength Diablo to draw a card is no joke. Crab's just like the kind of card which does help a bit going second. Obviously, there's no friends. There's not really that much bouncing. But I guess like Crab Fox can do some stuff too.
Chat wants us to play a best of 5.
Let the Storm Rage On is sung by Ursula.
Says,
but the great news is my resist on Calhoun here means that it's going to take both storms to deal with it. They instead go for the Crab.
Crazy.
And I'm not sure if that's necessarily correct,
but
to be honest.
He has to sleep at some point.
I don't know if it really makes a big difference. I feel like the Calhoun might have been a better card to get rid of.
Now,
I give the Crab trigger to Calhoun because I didn't forget.
If this was like a big event that we had, like if this wasn't voted on, but say this was like involved on DLC finishes or something.
I think best of 5 actually would have been a nice idea, to be honest.
I could definitely see this being a best of 5. A 16-person event? Why not? Best of 5 everything, finals, best of 7. Let's get all the content out of it.
But yeah, I'm 1-0 down at the moment, and in comes Stinky Pete, and Diablo's going to quest as well. But my Calhoun's still chilling here. To be fair, the Crab would have been chilling here anyway, but the Calhoun's going to gain lore when it takes out Ursula, whereas the Crab would not have gained lore. So I think it was probably a mistake by Dale to take out the Crab.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm not really sure there was that much reason to take out Crab and not the Calhoun, right? Like, I think the 2 lore that I gain off the Calhoun is better than anything the Crab could be possibly doing.
There was a best of 5 Magic event I watched.
Befuddle gets inked.
Because I remember someone winning 3.
Calhoun is going to take out the Ursula, gaining me 2 lore, and it sticks around because of resist. The Crab also would have stuck around, but
Calhoun things.
I would not gain any lore. So I think it's a mistake by Dale to let me do that. It was best of 3. So I won the die roll. I lost game 1 though. Won game 2, and this is game 3.
You had evasive, right? On your turn.
But in comes the genie, which I had from the opening turn.
It'll be
I draw, but so does my opponent. But also that hidden cove that I was able to get rid of with the Crab is enabling the genie to take out Diablo. So it's a really, really, really big deal that I took the cove out. And the Diablo is obviously putting in work, but suddenly, despite having an absolutely disastrous opening hand, I somehow find myself still in the game.
Got this 5/5 ball of gas going on defense mode. This is an intriguing spot. The genie is threatening the Diablo. And normally I'm just like, fine, you're going to answer my Diablo, whatever. I'll draw a card of it, at least. But there's
so I think that's the first misplay from Dale, and I think it's fair to say there's a few
he
in
might
this
just
game.
Deploy a character and pass.
He'll be the first to admit that.
Then be able to do both, like because it's unlikely he can go 2-drop, 2-drop, or 2-drop, 3-drop.
But I'm playing an unorthodox deck. Maybe they're not comfortable against it. You know, they're up against the specimen. I'm sure. No, I'm sorry, that was a joke. Sorry. But, you know, I think it is a big pressure game. Even though Dale's played at the very highest level, like, there's a lot of eyes on this, right? Like, he knows I'm going to be posting a video about it. Vonderland was live with, like, 450 viewers. Congrats, by that. It was awesome to see. It was insane viewership. Really, really love to see that. But yeah, I would be at 0 lore and a Crab on the board. But instead I've got a Calhoun, which I'd rather have than a Crab, to be honest. Like the Crab doesn't really do much for me once it's on the board in this deck. I don't have that much bounce.
I don't know if it just turns it around.
So I think that was definitely a big mistake, taking out the Crab and not
Being
Calhoun.
at 2-2 right now, it's a very low lore count.
The way they did it was they went
game,
Storm onto Crab, and then they were like thinking about the other one, and they just went for both Crabs. They wanted to see what they drew, but maybe they were hoping they could find strength to deal with Calhoun. I don't know. But yeah, that Calhoun being able to answer something there, answer the Ursula and gain me lore is actually absurd. It's the kind of thing that I need when I'm going second, right? Especially after a disastrous start. it's letting me gain back
Assuming he
board
doesn't have a
control while
Pluto,
also
because if he had a Pluto,
gaining
he
lore,
would've
which
played
is
that last
exactly
turn
what this
instead
deck
of
really
keep
wants to do when
protect his
going second.
Ursula.
Control the board, get ahead in
But-
terms of board
oh.
control, and try and
Oh,
gain lore.
maybe we're
So the
doing this
Calhoun
rage
performed
play.
incredibly well.
Oh no.
And that's my hand. That's a good hand, no?
Elsa.
Those 2 Queen's Castles have been there, by the way,
That
since
Elsa's
the opening hand. I'd never inked either of them. Never inked either of them. What a hand that is.
Elsa is not a Maleficent hyper aggro card. That is not what Dale wants to be seeing.
Got Ed and Din in the building. Welcome, guys. Tin Can Fam going to be playing very, very soon on this very stream up against Zach Bivens. After we've watched this, it kicks off in 40 minutes, basically. So we're not far away at all.
Chat's too funny. All sorts of things. We've got quite a few of the other players in the EU versus NA in here. I see Artibax. I know I saw Bivens earlier. Sailors chatting. I saw RMB. Oh.
So Diablo's through. And the one cost Diablo's down. And it's Ursa. And
Yes.
okay, interesting point.
there's
Dale
money.
says something to me here. And this is like the game
They've got
outside
a
of
lot
the
of
game.
skin in the game. They're all
Dale
rooting on
really
this.
makes me
Kinda seems
second
like,
guess what I'm doing.
where are we going to start off? Who's going to take that early lead?
He really makes me second guess what I'm doing here. He says something to me like, I'm going to make you choose. I was like, oh, make me choose. What does that mean? And then I started thinking about it more. I was like, oh, he's going to make me choose. Oh, my goodness. Oh, Dale's in the chat too. What's up, Dale? Shout out to Dale. Dale is a legend. Super, super wholesome guy. And I have to
Big.
say,
If
this
you-
game one,
Like, if
I
you
think they
played
so
Magic,
flawless.
you have probably heard of both of those players before. I mean, I am
Magic
a big
Broom?
fan.
Elsa.
I was gonna say I'm a big fan of
Now, I
DeCandio,
think this is
but
probably a
Karsten's
misplay.
a little bit more famous.
All
than
right,
he
chat.
is in Magic.
What would you do here? Don't look what I did.
Those players before.
I obviously go Elsa
I mean,
every time.
I am a big
Every
fan.
single time. There's a few options, right? So option one, I have to exert something. So I'm either exerting Ursula or Diablo. That's the first question. Now, bear in mind, if I exert Ursula, I can take out Ursula with both Elsa and Genie, but then the Diablo sticks around. If I exert the little Diablo, I can take out the little Diablo and the big Diablo, meaning that if Ursula was to sing even Strength of a Raging Fire, they would also need to play 2 characters. So that was the play I went for. However, I think it was a mistake. I really, really do. I wish I thought about it longer. I think actually this was one of my biggest weaknesses as a player. And I got interviewed kind of before the game, and Teddy asked me, like, what's one thing you're looking to do when you're playing it? And I said, I want to play slowly. I want to take my time. And I think at this moment, I don't really take my time. I see the line, I'm like, yeah, I quite like that, and then I go for it. Whereas what I should be doing is, I see the line, I'm like, yeah, okay, I do like that. Because both lines are kind of good. And I did think about it a decent amount, but I just don't think I thought about it long enough. I should be thinking like 5-6 turns ahead as much as I can, right? Like, this is the perfect moment to slow down the game and really, really analyze and try and think what the board state's going to be in 3 or 4 turns time with each line. And I think that dealing with this Ursula is better because, yeah, I'm not going to be able to exert this Ursula again unless it's singing songs. And let me tell you, this Ursula sings some songs. So I go for the 1-drop Diablo. Again, the logic being is that it allows me to take out the 1-cost Diablo with the Genie. So it has 3 strength, 3 damage more is needed on it. And I can take out the Diablo, so 3 damage more is needed. And I'm taking out both. So Ursula can only take out these both with strength plus 2 cards, which I find unlikely. And I feel like it gives me a good bit of board control at this moment in time. It slows down the card control of the Diablo, which is starting to get out of hand. But
I was gonna say I'm a big fan of DeCandio.
probably the more
Karsten's
obvious
a
line in
little
many
bit more
ways
famous
to just
than he is
exert the
in
Ursula
Magic.
and take the Ursula out was probably
Lorcana,
better.
DeCandio might be more famous, even though Karsten's won a DLC and done well as well, so he might be. But as continue, sorry.
Yeah, so I take out the Diablo with the genie, and I take out the little Diablo, or the other way around, I think. I take out the little Diablo with the genie and the big Diablo with the Elsa, because this just means that they're both protected from Storm Rage on. Like if it's Storm Rage on Ursula, they can only take out one threat, right? That's the logic here, and I think it's kind of reasonable. I think it's definitely not a terrible idea. I'd be very interested in hearing some of the pros in the chat on this, because I think this is a really, really key decision. I really, really think this was a big, big moment, and I'm not convinced I got it right. I will say I'm in a pretty bad spot in general still, even though I've stabilized the board. Like my opening, I cannot stress how bad my opening hand was here. Like when I saw my opening hand, I thought the game was over, but I've got it into a position where it's like maybe okay-ish. The genie and the Elsa
Yes, it does.
combo, mate. Putting in work.
Anna
Genie on 4, Elsa on 5 is so strong for
banishes
Amethyst.
a character.
I expect every Amethyst deck to be playing it once the meta settles. Like if you're not playing Genie Elsa, I think you're just losing pretty hard in Amethyst mirrors a lot of the time.
Banishes or discards a card. Yeah, the one of Doc almost brought Dale back in the game last game, but
so yeah, my Elsa gets taken out by Anna, and I think this is probably also a misplay by Dale. I think the Genie might have been the better pickup, right? Because Genie quest for 2, and at this moment, what I really need is lore. Like the longer this game goes on, the more in Dale's favor it's going to start swinging, right? So I think they both needed 3 damage into them, so I don't think there's much reason to keep the Elsa. And there comes the castle. Remember,
we did forget about Cove. So
been having all those castles for a very, very long time. I've still got another one in hand, I believe, from my opening hand. Maybe I did ink one at this point. Now I'm thinking on the Genie if I move into the castle or if I play a 1-drop. I think I have like a broom and a castle in hand or something like this.
Exactly.
And I'm thinking, do I move Genie into castle? Do I move Genie into castle and ink the castle to play the broom? Do I save the other castle? There's a few different decisions I have to make here in terms of inking.
Speci still probably did one of the better lines. Whether or not inking the castle was the correct line, it's hard to say.
I wish we could hear Othello.
Now this castle is a little bit better.
This is like where this is like the kind of board state I was envisaging back in turn 1 or turn 2 where I inked go and not the second castle, right?
I wonder if that was like a,
you get to this state with the Elsa, I think in particular, where she equalizes the board in your favor.
Oh,
and then
I've got removal in my hand.
You can start trying to
character, you know,
like get double castle down. While they're like challenging the first castle, you drop another castle, right? He was stopping friends. There's no friends in my deck. And it's open deck list. I don't play friends, believe it or not. It's too slow, really, for this deck. You could actually consider playing it a bit more now. Last set, it definitely didn't make sense. I think now it makes a bit, but eh. I mean, if you're saying friends is that's how you know deck's good. Maybe friends is good enough, but
I'm a little surprised that
playing no songs is pretty nice in a closed deck list because of Ursula,
they're actually
right?
becoming relevant here.
So Hypnotize comes through.
It could have just had to do with the fact that Dale didn't
have 3 in hand.
Really.
I discard to fire the cannons. So obviously uninkable.
With that 1 ink. Where had Dale had like the double discard or a
but this is where the castle is just such a difference maker. Imagine library here, right? Like library only is good if you're banishing your characters, and you don't want to banish your characters with this deck. You want to quest as much as possible. Okay, you might occasionally banish your Diablos and Churnabogs, but you really want to do that at specific moments. You don't want to just do that to draw more cards. Library only gains 1 law a turn. It's way too slow, mate. Whereas the castle, bam, 2 law, bam, card draw. So much better. Just fits the playstyle of the deck much more.
Say they're frozen,
bear in mind, this is
they weren't because I saw Dale's hand just ever slightly move.
So I think it's Sudden Chill that comes through. Was this Sudden Chill? It was. I discarded Queen's Castle and I discard Dock. That's a couple of good cards. I think that might have been the only 2 cards in hand, right? Yeah. I had 3 cards in hand. Fire the cannons. Queen's Castle from my opening hand, by the way. I kept both castles from my opening hand. And Dock. And suddenly it's all gone. Flipping Emerald, mate. Flipping Emerald. But look, I've got the Queen's Castle. I've got a Genie in the Queen's Castle. The Queen's Castle is carrying me to victory. This is why I kept those 2 castles. I didn't ink one. This goes back to turn 1 or turn 2, where I had these castles, 2 castles in my opening hand, and I inked to go instead.
There we go.
But this Pluto is a
There
concern.
we go.
This Pluto is a problem.
That would be why I was wondering why he inked the Bruno. And that would be why. I do like these sleeves.
Hey Lars, great to see you. I'm on a stream delay, so
it's like a
can't respond.
It's like a
I'm responding to you 10 minutes late, but it's good to see you. I hope you are. Bam! Off the top is a genie. Hello.
Genie's pretty
and
good.
that's the power of the castle.
Like,
castle is just carrying me to victory here. It cannot be overstated how important this castle is.
Location lore?
My goodness.
He did? Okay.
Absolutely absurd. Bam! Magic Broom. What a card. So I decided not to move anything else into the castle and just use the ink instead on the broom because this Pluto can deal 5.
Pluto's taken that down.
Yeah, exactly. But this is all you need. You only need the castle to stick around for 1 turn, and it puts in so much work, right?
2 characters.
It put in so much work here. That 1 extra card draw, that 2 lore, I think it cannot be overstated how good it is. It also stops them questing as well, right? Because they have to challenge. And can we just talk about the genie? Oh my days. Absurd card.
Well,
but that's a problem.
Good one.
That's a problem. But this also comes back to my
fresh genie twice.
My play earlier. If I used the Elsa to take out the Ursula and the Diablo was there, they wouldn't have this Ursula to sing Storm Rage on with. But also the single Storm Rage on would have taken out this genie with 1 damage because this genie would have 2 damage instead of 1. So that play on the Elsa taking out either Ursula or the Diablo is definitely really interesting. My castle is finally taken out. I say finally, it only stuck around for a turn, but it did a lot for me. And again, I want to remind you guys, I had a complete disaster of opening hand. I think it's 8 lore to 5 right now. But we've pulled it back. Morph hits the board. I think I'm at 1 card in hand right now.
Not great.
But because I dealt with that Diablo, the good news for me is at least is that Dale is short on resources, right? But also with this Pluto, I can't challenge anything else. Pluto is bodyguarded, right? Pluto is very, very bodyguarded.
Just play Doc Spessy. Do it. Do it.
I love how Wonderland's North American, but it's just supporting me because I play Doc. I love it.
Pretty good too.
Genie Quest for 2. Again, I can't challenge because the only thing I can take out is Pluto, which is a 5/5 bodyguard, which I don't think I'm particularly interested in challenging.
Oh my god.
I go for the Quest with the Broom as well. Like, I just can't challenge, so BAM! Goat. Oh my goodness. I kept drawing these goats at the right time. Banish the Broom to draw. My opponent's got 1 card in hand right now,
Goats
I think.
are good.
Bam! It's another Broom. Brooms are so insane, mate. I've told you guys from day 1, Brooms, Chernobyls, broken cards. And it's the Broom and Chernobyls and the Diablo show in this game. I don't think I actually drew the Diablo, but they're all the same card, basically.
I mean, the game's not over.
I think the Broom's the best. If I had to say the best of them, I would say the Magic Broom
Dale has
my pick.
so many outs.
I'd say the Magic Broom's the best. I would say Chernobyls Followers is probably the worst.
Oh, he does.
That would be my ordering. I'd say Broom's the best. I would say Diablo's second best, and the Chernobyls is the 3rd best. But when the Chernobyls Followers was first printed, I thought it was the best card of the game. So, but yeah, that's a real big one as well. Taking out the Fox. I have to say the Fox was awkward
it's kind of an educated guess. He had
Fox
4 open
can only
ink.
challenge.
Spessy had no cards in
Pluto.
hand. I think Spessy had no.
But look, this is the 3rd time this Ursula sung now, right?
Well, you called it.
It sang Sudden Chill. It discarded my Elsa. No, my. What did it discard? Dock and Queen's Castle.
It's kind of weird.
It sang
it might
Storm
have been right
and it sang
to go
Strength.
After Broom. All right, so.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I think this is a mistake again, right? The Magic Broom here is being underestimated.
You first.
The Magic Broom! Because this is the power of the Magic Broom. That you should be hitting the Broom instead of the goat here every time. The Broom is that good. Like, this is why I'm so high up on Brooms. This Broom is so broken here. Even though it's a 1-cost card. And look, speaking of broken, Chernobyls Followers, insane card. It's the Broom show. BAM! Into another goat. Are you flipping dizzy? Surely he can't do this. It's 15-9. Oh my days.
That's what he needs.
Oh my days. Can he do the impossible? Can he do the impossible?
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Don't forget, Dinkan Fam up against Zach Bivens is starting in 25 minutes. We're going to have Lorcana Villain Baker
he needs
joining
another
us.
removal. He needs
really fun.
He needs to shift Tinkerbell and quest all out. That's what he needs.
They do have a shift Tink.
And hope. Yeah. Like take out the card draw, gain another lore, gain 6, go to 12, hope we draw and answer the next turn to prevent Speci from winning. But Speci's going to 17.
PK said in the chat, obviously I'm on a 10-minute delay.
17.
I think EU is taking a lot of these. US is too scared to show their good lists. I would actually argue it's the opposite way around. The EU players are much less likely to show their best lists. Because the EU tournament's in like 2 weeks, whereas the American tournament's in like 6 weeks.
Sadly, I think.
So I would argue it's more likely that EU players are actually hiding lists specifically for this tournament. There's like way less incentive for the European players to reveal the list they're planning on playing in Continentals at this stage, compared with the Americans.
Maybe it is right to
a month is a long time in the meta game, right? It's a third of the meta game
The problem is without the snakes, he can't do both.
It's 16 to 14, so this is a crucial turn. My opponent can quest for 5 here, getting to 19. If they have Morph Shift, I lose, right? If they have Beast or Tink, I lose, because they get to 20. So I need to try and consider if I am supposed to try and take Morph out.
Which is what I was going to say the last
obviously
time.
With the Pluto, I can't challenge it anyway because it's a bodyguard. So the only way I'd possibly be able to do it. But what I like that I do here is I slow the game down. I ask to see the discard pile. Because I recognize that I'm losing to shift cards, and I'm just trying to like recount. I'm not very. One of my biggest weaknesses is memory. I probably am not remembering very well what's in the ink most of the time. But at least the discard is available for me to see, and why not have a little peek, right?
I'm willing.
It would be silly not to, in a way, right?
I can't wait to hear the reasoning behind it, because I'm sure someone will bring it up and ask Dale afterwards, and he'll have a good reason as to why it happened. Most likely. Could have also just brain farted. That happens. I've done it a lot.
Yeah, it's 16 to 14 right now, so I'm only 4 away. And again, we go back to that Calhoun, right? Which gave me 2 lore in a challenge. When the crab would have gave me nothing. Like, each lore really, really does matter. So while I drew very, very poorly, I've just been able to...
when you play around a card, because you play around something and they don't have it, it makes you look bad.
I'm going to say force my opponent into making some mistakes.
It makes you look like a genius. And normally when you play
I'm making a game of it, right? I'm making a game of it. I think I've done everything right so far, apart from that Elsa turn. But that is an insane top deck. Genie... me. I was hoping to find like a Fire of the Cannons or Befuddle to hit the Morph. I lose to Tinkerbell. I lose to Beast. I believe Muses is the card in hand, so I also lose to a Song, because the Song can bounce the Genie back. Of course, having said that, if I top deck White Rose or Go, I would not lose to Song. But there's so many outs that Dale has here. But I'm in a position where Dale has 2 cards in hand, and if they can't stop me questing, I win. 1 card's the Muses, 1 card's Ursula. They quest for 5. And I am somehow, by the skin of my teeth, victorious. Let's flipping go! Pa, pa, pa. Bam! Let's go, GG Cesaro.
Yeah, Dale
big fan of
needs
Dale.
To draw more.
Really, really nice guy.
As I'm sure he's quite aware.
Mental.
As he's quite aware.
Mental.
Also, just didn't
get in. Should I see if I can? One sec. I recorded my reaction to winning. Do you guys want to see it? He loves it. He loves it.